Imus in the morning on the fan. Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
First of all, you need to know that there's only one party. That's right. You might hear people talk every once in a while about groups called liberals and Democrats. Sometimes they're called the left. Can you say that, left?
Yes, left.
Sure. Anyway, they don't really exist. They live in the magic kingdom of make-believe. They pretend they have a chance to get somebody into the White House, but they don't. And that makes them feel sad. But that's an okay feeling to have. And besides, they're pretty used to it by now. The only party you should care about is the Republicans. Sometimes they call themselves the GOP. Sometimes they call themselves conservatives. Sometimes they're known as the right. And you know how Mommy and Daddy always tell you to do the right thing. That's why you should tell them to vote right this election day. I'm running on the right side this year for president. And there are only two other men doing the same thing, boys and girls. A man named Pat Buchanan and a man who's already president, George Bush. Mr. Buchanan has quite a few little skeletons in his closet. That means there's some things he did that he'd like people to forget about. I, on the other hand, have no skeletons in my closet.
Oh, no.
Just some linens and a couple of armbands or so. But
some sheets, of course.
now, the man who's got the best chance of being president is already there, and he's been there for a very long time. Kind of like the big bully who has the ball and won't let you play. Don't you think it's time to let somebody else have a turn? Sure, I knew you would. He's just like that big bully, except he doesn't have the balls. He's not a very good president, boys and girls. He was just over in Japan selling them parts to build automobiles. At least that's what they're telling us. Ask your grandpa about what they did with our trolley tracks back in the 40s. They're evil people, boys and girls. They're inscrutable. Can you say that? Inscrutable?
Inscrutable.
Do you know what that means? That means they make the Nintendo games extra hard to make you feel stupid. I promise you, boys and girls, if I become president, I will make sure they don't do that anymore. Oh, my gosh, look at the time. I have to get over to the new temple. They're dedicating it tonight, and I'm going to bring these bottles to help them celebrate. See? They're called Molotov cocktails.
No, come on.
Can you say that? I knew you could.
Imus in the morning.
Though, does my heart good to see Dono and Howie teammates again. Kind of puts me in the mind, I don't know, the Defiant Ones for some reason, you know? Movie where Sidney Poitier, Tony Curtis are chained together and they hate each other.
Right.
You know, it's always a long, strange trip when a radio station changes hands.
Right.
Of course, the whole Imus thingy, Smolian, man, what a f***ing loser he is, huh? Of course, the lesson we all learn here is you might as well open a Mormon strip joint before you attempt to buy a baseball franchise in Seattle. I mean, did he sit there one day and just go, hey, I got a good idea. Let me buy a team in a stadium where 95% of the population's either lumberjacks or moose. What's he going to invest in next, a Burger King in Pakistan? I got it. Maybe he could book Public Enemy a rap concert in South Africa. Because, you know, Paul Simon's having a little trouble getting in there this week with his Born in the White Time tour. A little resistance from some left-wing youth group. The way I look at it is, if he's going to jump around Central Park with a Timberley and a couple of guys doing the limbo, and we have to watch it. So should they. Of course, the easiest way for him to get in over there and do some serious numbers attendance-wise would be to have this guy Puff Daddy promote it. Man, what a f***ing pant load he is, huh? Where'd this guy learn about security? The Black Hole of Calcutta? Well, now you know why Ron Delsner don't do soccer in Scotland. Word to the wise, folks, if you got tickets for a Who concert and it says a Puff Daddy production, scalp them suckers in the f***ing parking lot and wait for the live album.
Imus in the morning.
More specifically, the lack of it in your body that prevents a fella from being able to get a boner. Well, you and I know that's just silly. It's your diet what's wrong. All you need is what Wilfred Brimley's prescribed for a long time now. Oatmeal, Quaker oats. Tastes good, and you get your bonus boner. Works every time. These UCLA eggheads think impotence can be laid off on low nitric oxide. Well, I gotta laugh. And what do they say you do about it? Well, the most common treatment, they say, is to give yourself an injection. And where? Right into your old road rocket, son. No wonder they say most men sour on that approach right quick. No, sirree, you use nature's remedy, oatmeal. A nice, sloppy, warm, thick, mushy bowl of mush. Nitric oxide? Well, hell, that's nothing more than laughing gas, son. They're crazy. I got a bottle right here to prove it. No, sir, before I go sticking myself with a needle in my noodle, I'm sticking with oatmeal. It's the right thing to do. Here, let me suck down some of this nitric oxide junk just to prove my point. I'll slap on this mask here and take me a couple of big old gulps, and we'll just see what happens to Mr. Brimley's Mr. Dinky, okay? Right, there's one breath. Okay, there's another. And another. And see, is anything happening? Holy look at that. Good Lord. Ain't no bowl of nothing ever did that. Hey, who put that damn saxophone in my shorts? Okay, I was wrong. Kids, you tell Mom, screw the oatmeal. Just get a tank of airplane glue and a bottle of Jergens hand lotion and a Penthouse magazine. Yes, sir, kids. Quaker Oats and nitrous oxide. It's the right thing to do. Hey, what do I use for a condom for this thing? A leaf bag?
Of course, now Dave's gone, but they still got the f***ing monkey. You know, if I'm getting up at 6:30 in the morning, the last thing I want to see is some beefy, bald-headed bozo doing the weather dressed up like Carmen Miranda. Of course, I can kind of understand why they went with Willard. There are just some things that even a monkey won't do. I hate to admit that I agree with the pant load, but Brian Gumble was right. Willard Scott is a f***ing freak. Just a plain and simple genetic mutant. Sideshow material. Why does television think it needs every weatherman to be a f***ing rodeo clown? He's either some roly-poly goofball who giggles every time he says the word isobar, some drunk with a Cesar Romero mustache and an Uncle Wiggly magnetic dress-up doll, or a yodeling loony who's one burnt synapse short of taking his dog's advice and going down to the post office with an AK-47. The vaudeville routines. Is it gonna rain or not? Don't give me videos of shut-ins and their f***ing pets. Do I need to wear a jacket? Don't say hello to Newark. Don't show me a cartoon of you sleigh riding. Don't tell me it's some pink raisin's 100th f***ing birthday. Just give me the f***ing temperature and shut the f*** up. Coming up, classic Creedence. Who'll stop the rain?
Commentators, Senator Edward M. Kennedy.
Thank you. I would like to respond this morning, if I may, to recent polls regarding the presidential campaign.
Oh, okay.
It is my judgment that our party stands at a great crossroads. President Bush and the Republican Party are being called to account for the condition of our economy, as they should be.
Well, yeah.
And Mr. Bush is more vulnerable to defeat now than at any time in his long political career. However, despite this obvious opportunity, polls show that the 5 major Democratic candidates opposing him share a fatal flaw. Unknown weenie syndrome, with the sole exception of former Governor Brown of California, whose name is regrettably recognizable because it has become synonymous with the medical phrase, crazy as a f***ing house Shirley MacLaine third base Venus orbiting bedbug. Are we then to squander the unique opportunity laid before us? A president who blows Saigon bean dip all over the Prime Minister of Japan and who is obviously in an incestuous relationship with his grandmother? I don't think so.
No.
We must find a candidate who is an instantly identifiable political landmark,
Right.
who commands attention, headlines, and broad admiration.
Right.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And so I say, let this name go forth to the farthest reaches of our land. Kennedy. EMK. President Edward Moore Kennedy.
I don't think so.
As I've demonstrated in elections past, I can rally a true rainbow coalition,
Well.
appealing, as we Kennedys have always done, to the downtrodden and disadvantaged on the one hand,
Right.
and to the filthy, bone marrow-sucking rich on the other. Since we, of course, are blue bloods ourselves, who need not live next door to any of the kinds of people we make a pretext of caring about. Yes, and let me be absolutely clear on this point. Unlike the George Herbert Walker Bushes, there are no Mexicans to be found in the Kennedy family tree. Perhaps trimming a Kennedy tree here or there, but not, God forbid, in the family tree. And so, as my dear friend Jesse Jackson might say in summary, from the poorhouse to the White House to the outhouse to the whorehouse. Another Massachusetts Brahmin named Kennedy stands ready to answer the call. In the meantime, let us change the symbol of the current party in power, the Republicans, in this election year, from the elephant to the condom. A symbol that stands for inflation, protects a bunch of dickheads, halts production, and gives a false sense of security while you are getting screwed. George Herbert Walker Bush, there's Trojans for you.
Senator Kennedy appears through the courtesy of the He's In Over His Own Head This Time committee, Chris Dodd, treasurer.
Imus in the morning.
Say, I understand that you suffered a bout of the influenza that's going around, eh? The Beijing strain?
Well, that's right.
Well, tough Anyhow, J.D., I judge as perhaps the top issue of the day, the pending first-in-the-nation New Hampshire presidential primary, where my old speechwriter, Pat Buchanan, is doing quite well.
Right.
And the lad can still turn a phrase based on the New York Times report in which Pat is quoted as describing the senior leader of China, Deng Xiaoping, as an 85-year-old chain-smoking commie dwarf. He's taking some heat for that, but it's an accurate description, truth be known.
Well, yeah.
I know Deng. I'm not put off by Deng, but a little Deng can go a long way. So I applaud Pat for his characterization of Deng. Issue 2. President Bush's trip to New Hampshire, where people clearly feel the Deng characterization might fit him, based on the economy and his own trip to the Far East, where he so distinguished himself. He's still getting flack for that, and why not?
Yeah.
I know from my own travels that it's considered very bad form when you're trying to curry favor with an Oriental host to bury your head in his lap if all you plan to do is erp on him. Hey, call me Miss Manners, but that's an affront in anybody's lingo, I mean. Not to mention the disappointment factor of an implied commitment unfulfilled. You know what I mean? Prime Minister Ichiyushi sees Bush's head dropping down toward his lap, and he's got to be thinking, Jesus, this guy really does want to win some trade concessions. Then, of course, the diplomatic equivalent of Pearl Harbor takes place, and all Ichisushi's got to show for it is a loss of appetite and a cleaning bill.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the way this pathetic re-election effort's going so far, George will be lucky to get Barbara's vote. And I talked to Quayle last night. He's voting for Bill Clinton.
Great.
Ah, well, as the old Japanese proverb states so well, it. And that's opinion, J.D., from the man best qualified and who should have been leading that trade mission, Dick Nixon, and who would have been had he not been, in the words of the old Chinese proverb, diddled by the dirty digit of destiny. Sayonara, sucker.
Imus in the morning.
I'm in the morning.